The Chicago Sky locker room has officially turned into a ticking time bomb, and Angel Reese just lit the fuse. After a season filled with frustration, drama, and underwhelming results, Reese dropped a bombshell interview with the Chicago Tribune, sending shockwaves throughout the league. She didn't just call for changes, she flat out demanded that the entire roster be overhauled. Reese's exact words were crystal clear: "We have to get good players. We have to get great players. That's a non-negotiable for me. I'm willing and wanting to play with the best, and however I can help to get the best here. That's what I'm going to do this off-season. We can't settle for what we had this year." Sounds like a bold declaration from a franchise leader, right? Except here's the catch. Reese hasn't exactly proven herself as the kind of player who should be making ultimatums. She's missed weeks of action due to injuries, leads the entire WNBA in turnovers despite playing fewer games than most stars, and just earned herself a suspension after picking up her 8th technical foul of the season. Imagine criticizing your teammates while simultaneously being the biggest on-court liability on your own roster. That contradiction didn't just create tension, it sparked outright chaos. According to multiple league sources, Reese's comments infuriated both teammates and veterans across the league, forcing Chicago to call an emergency locker room meeting to address the fallout. That isn't leadership, that's dysfunction. Instead of uniting the team, Reese's words tore open divisions, creating a toxic environment right when the Sky needed stability the most. Even worse, Reese went after respected veterans like Courtney Vandersloot, who's a 2-time WNBA champion and 5-time All-Star, dismissing her as too old to be part of the team's future. That was a slap in the face not just to Vandersloot, but to every veteran in the league who was paid their dues and earned respect through years of hard work. This wasn't a star motivating her team. This was a young player burning bridges before she's even built a legacy. Reese's self-destruct. Here's where the story takes an even darker turn. Angel Reese didn't just alienate her teammates with words. Her actions on the court backed up every criticism fans have been whispering all year long. She demanded the best of the best players around her, but when you dig into the numbers, it becomes painfully clear that Reese hasn't been holding up her end of the bargain. On paper, averaging around 15 points and 12 rebounds per game looks solid, but those numbers are fool's gold. Reese leads the entire WNBA in turnovers, -101 in just 26 games. A staggering stat considering she missed weeks due to injury. Think about that for a second. She played fewer games than most stars, had fewer minutes on the court, and still managed to cough up the ball more than anyone else. That's not dominance, that's recklessness. And it doesn't stop there. 20% of Reese's attempts inside 9 feet are blocked, showcasing how limited her offensive game really is. Worse yet, her lack of discipline carried over into technical fouls. By mid-season, Reese had racked up 8 techs, triggering an automatic 1-game suspension. And this wasn't during a random stretch of meaningless games. Her suspension came right before a highly anticipated matchup between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever, a game fans had been hyping up for weeks. Instead of being on the court for a crucial rivalry game, Reese was at home, sidelined not by injury, but by her own inability to control her emotions. That was the final straw for many fans and teammates. To make matters even more embarrassing, Chicago often looked better when Reese wasn't playing. The ball moved more freely, defensive rotations were tighter, and team chemistry seemed to improve without her dominating the spotlight. A supposed franchise cornerstone is supposed to elevate a team, not drag it down. With every turnover, technical foul, and post-game excuse, Reese transformed from a potential savior into a glaring liability. Even free agents now see Chicago as a risky destination because who wants to join a team led by someone who publicly throws teammates under the bus? The Caitlin Clark effect versus Angel Reese collapse. While Reese was busy tearing down her own franchise, another young star was quietly building something special in Indiana. Caitlin Clark has faced unprecedented pressure since entering the league. Every game televised, every mistake magnified, every move scrutinized by fans and media alike. Yet, instead of folding under the weight of expectations, Clark has thrived. Even during injury stretches, Clark traveled with the Indiana Fever, cheering on her teammates, sitting courtside in street clothes and showing the kind of leadership that can't be taught. Compare that to Reese, who disappeared during her rehab, leaving her team to struggle without even her moral support. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Clark uses her platform to lift others up. When she was interviewed about a strong performance by Reese, she praised her rival instead of stoking drama. Reese, on the other hand, used her interviews to take shots at her own teammates. That's why Indiana is surging while Chicago is imploding. Clark's presence has elevated everyone around her. Only Boston has blossomed into a dominant force in the paint. Lexi Hull and Kelsey Mitchell are thriving thanks to Clark's playmaking, and Sophie Cunningham has found her rhythm in Indiana's up-tempo offense. The Fever's record attendance numbers and merchandise sales are all skyrocketing because Clark has brought a winning culture to the franchise. Meanwhile, Chicago is spiraling. Fans are openly questioning whether Reese cares more about basketball or her off-court brand. The Sky's record sits near the bottom of the league. Their locker room is fractured, and free agents are hesitant to join a team surrounded by so much negativity. The irony is brutal. Reese demanded that Chicago rebuild the roster around her, but the harsh reality is becoming undeniable. The Sky might need to rebuild without her. At this point, Reese isn't just failing to lead the franchise forward, she's actively holding it back. In one city, Caitlin Clark represents hope, growth, and a bright future. In another, Angel Reese represents turmoil, excuses, and wasted potential. The question now isn't whether Chicago will meet Reese's demands. It's whether they'll decide that their biggest problem is the very player who claims to be their solution. The Chicago Sky are standing at a dangerous crossroads, and Angel Reese has pushed them to the edge of disaster. Imagine being a franchise that gave up valuable assets, including young star Sonia Citron, who's now thriving as a Rookie of the Year candidate and an All-Star, just to bring in veteran guard Ariel Atkins, in hopes of creating a winning roster around Reese. That move was supposed to prove the front office was serious about competing, but instead of gratitude, Reese responded with public criticism, calling for even more changes. The irony here is staggering. Chicago sacrificed its future to satisfy Reese's demands, and now she's implying the team hasn't done enough to help her. Even worse, her comments didn't just anger her current teammates, they sent shockwaves through the league, making veterans question whether they'd ever want to sign with Chicago. Who wants to join a team where the so-called leader has no problem disrespecting others on record? This isn't just about basketball anymore, it's about culture, trust, and the message the organization sends to players across the WNBA. League insiders have already reported that Chicago's front office is privately discussing its options, including the unthinkable, trading Reese, before her attitude permanently poisons the locker room. If that happens, Reese will have no one to blame but herself. She wanted to be the franchise player, the centerpiece of a new era, but all she's done is create instability and chaos. For a fan base that's been patient through years of losing, this feels like betrayal. Instead of looking forward to free agency with excitement, Sky supporters are now wondering if their team will ever escape the drama that's become synonymous with Angel Reese's name. Two young stars entered the league with massive expectations, but only one is proving worthy of the spotlight. In Indiana, Caitlin Clark is rewriting what leadership looks like. She's not just filling stat sheets, she's transforming an entire franchise. Her unselfish play has turned the Fever into a cohesive, exciting team, and her professionalism has attracted veterans who want to be part of something bigger. Clark represents growth, hope, and a clear path to contention. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Angel Reese's story is unraveling in real time. Her stats may look solid at first glance, but the deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes that she's dragging the team down with turnovers, technical fouls, and a toxic attitude that scares away talent. The Sky are stuck in a nightmare of their own making. Forced to decide whether to keep catering to Reese's demands or cut ties and rebuild from scratch. The WNBA is watching closely because this isn't just about two players. It's about two completely different ways to build a team. Clark is proof that young stars can lead with grace and vision, while Reese has become the cautionary tale of ego overpowering substance. One franchise is selling out arenas and climbing the standings. The other is drowning in drama and excuses in the end. The choice for Chicago couldn't be clearer. Either follow the Indiana model and build around a true leader, or continue down the destructive path that Reese has paved, a path that leads to empty seats, broken trust, and wasted potential. The window is closing fast for Angel Reese, and her next move could determine not only her career, but the future of the Chicago Sky. The WNBA has seen talented players come and go, but rarely does a situation implode this dramatically, this quickly. Reese came into the league with hype, swagger, and the promise of becoming a generational star. Instead, she's now viewed by many as a cautionary tale, a player whose ego grew faster than her game. The brutal reality is this: a true franchise cornerstone doesn't need to beg for greatness in others, because their own excellence attracts it naturally. Caitlin Clark didn't have to demand that Indiana Fever management bring in stars. Her leadership, playmaking, and maturity made veterans want to join her. Reese, on the other hand, has alienated teammates, angered free agents, and put Chicago in the worst possible position, a franchise built around a player. Who might be its biggest problem? If the Sky front office decides to move on, it will send a loud message to the league: accountability matters more than hype. And if they don't, they risk wasting another season in chaos.